Everyone, welcome to my living room. I'm Chris Tackett. I'm the pianist for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson, and this week you are hearing me from my living room. Now, this is not a professional recording studio. This is not a soundproof booth. You will hear some traffic noise. I live on a fairly busy street, and while it's not as busy today as it has been, there's still traffic today. There's also some birds. There's probably some dogs. There's a whole bunch of stuff, so it is what it is, and welcome to it. Stick around after the postlude, and I will tell you what I played. I hope you enjoy.
Welcome to this worship service of the Baja for the communities that make up the 4 Unitarian Universalist congregations in Southern Arizona. For those of you who don't know, I am Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and I have the great pleasure of serving the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson.
And I am the Reverend Tina Squire, and I have the great privilege to serve Sky Island Unitarian Universalist Church in Sierra Vista, Arizona.
No matter who you are, no matter who you have been, no matter who you are becoming, you are welcome here. We are a people who love beyond belief. We say that no one is expendable. We trust science, and we are a people who gather because of, not despite, our differences. In that spirit, come, let us worship together. And as we light our chalices on our screens, will you light a chalice or a candle that you might have nearby as I read these chalice lighting words from Reverend Amy Williams Clark. We gather in this time of uncertainty, full of unknowns, as angst closes in upon us. We light this chalice with a flame that draws us together. With this flame, we cut through the dankness of isolation and are warmed by the fires of our interconnection. For this moment, this radical moment, we find a certainty within the knowable bounds of love and community.
Each week, as we gather and hold so many people together, we want to do a ritual that will remind us to nourish our hearts and slow our minds. When I was 18, I lived far closer to the Arctic Circle than I do now. And as the days grew shorter and shorter, my mother realized we were about to face a physical darkness we had never encountered before. And so she looked to the countries around us and discovered what Finns do in the winter. And so, midwinter, whenever it was pitch black in the morning, late morning, or pitch black early in the afternoon, we were cheered by the multiple candles she lit and put around our house. When my sister was 18, she came back from class early and surprised her roommate, who was sitting in the dark, lighting a Jahrzehnte candle, commemorating the first anniversary of her mother's death. When I was a young adult, I would go into cathedrals with my Catholic friends and light candles for everyone who was far away, for everyone I was caring about, for everyone who was separated by death. And it's a practice I still do. When I worked at the World Bank, a colleague gathered some of her friends and surprised us with a gathering that introduced us to the smells and tastes and lights of Diwali. We glimpsed some of the festivities that families feel, though we were miles from their homes back in India. In 2015, I reached out to the Reverend Linda Lawrence, who served Sky Island, and we became friends, and she would have me come speak here. Every year since 2015, I have been able to speak near Hanukkah, and I always request one song, one of my favorites, that of course would be in your hymnal, Light One Candle by Peter Yarrow. In this time of uncertainty, in this time of heartache for me and for many around me, I love the words of Light One Candle. They remind me that justice will always prevail. Our most important principles that we hold dear cannot be extinguished, even if we don't have enough oil. So tonight and today, whenever you're watching, I invite you to gather a candle or gather a bowl and throw stones or buttons so that you can see what one ripple can do. But I'm going to light my Swedish candlestick. I still have one of my mother's Finnish ones, and I'm going to invite you to honor all that is going on in your mind and your heart at this tough time. as I do it. First, I want to remember people, of course. The people whose faces we used to see every day and now we're separated from. The people who are miles away from us, about whom we carry much concern, perhaps family members who are on the front line, caring for people and putting themselves at risk. And I want to lift up the people who are suffering and the people who have died. Next, I want to remember the places we can't go to right now, places we hope to visit again soon, and the places throughout the world that are suffering right now and need us to hold them in our hearts. Places like Italy and New York and Spain. We lift them up with intention. And I want to remember our principles. Those are the things that hold us close, that we stand on right now. It seems that the best and the worst come out in people. One minute your neighbors are being friendlier than they've ever been, and then a stranger steals the last roll of toilet paper. In this time, I want to lift up those things we stand on. We are becoming new people, but what do we want to keep and what do we want to take on? And finally, I want to honor each one of you. Each one of you has a racing mind. Each one of you has been hit by the news in a particular way. And each one of you may have a broken heart. And so I hold that now, and I ask you to honor that, to love the parts of you that might be frightened or frightening, to know that you are not alone, and that putting these thoughts and hopes and fears and joys and sorrows out there, holding them together in this sacred community, honors us and makes a difference in the world. May it be so.
Would you please join with me in singing Meditation on Breathing? Meditation on breathing starts with something that anybody can do. It's just a gentle, repeated drone of breathe in, breathe out on the same note. I'm going to sing that for a while to get that going, but after I get that going, I'm going to switch off to other parts. Move to the other parts if you want, or just interact with the breathe in, breathe out in the drone, just to sort of find the zone. Try to be present as you sing. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace, and when I breathe out, I breathe out love, and when I breathe in, I breathe in peace, and when I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Hi, friends. I'm Jamelia Omar, the Director of Lifespan Faith Development at the UU Church of Tucson. And today we are reading the book, What Would You Do with a Problem? So as we're reading, think about the problems that you're having now, big and small, things like, having to stay at home, things small like stubbing your toe on the coffee table in the morning. Big and small, what do we do with problems and how do we think about them? At the end of the book, I'll come back. I'm going to ask you to think about what the book suggests we do with problems. What Do You Do with a Problem? Written by Kobe Yamada, illustrated by May Basom. I don't know how it happened, but one day I had a problem. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. I really didn't like having a problem, but it was there. Why is it here and what does it want? What do you do with a problem? I thought. I wanted to make it go away. I shooed it. I scowled at it. I even tried ignoring it, but nothing worked. I started to worry about my problem. What if it swallows me up? What if my problem sneaks up and gets me? What if it takes away all my things? I worried a lot. I worried about what would happen. I worried about what could happen. I worried about this and I worried about that. And the more I worried, the bigger my problem became. I wished it would just disappear. I tried everything I could to hide from it. I even found ways to disguise myself, but it still found me. And the more I avoided my problem, the more I saw it everywhere. I thought about it all the time. I didn't feel good about it. I couldn't take it anymore. This has to stop, I declared. Maybe I was making my problem bigger and scarier than it actually was. After all, my problem hadn't really swallowed me up or attacked me. I realized I had to face it. So even though I didn't want to, even though I was really afraid, I got ready and I tackled my problem. When I got face to face with it, I discovered something. My problem wasn't what I thought it was. I discovered it had something beautiful inside. My problem had an opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to learn and to grow, to be brave, to do something. It showed me that it was important to look closely because some opportunities only come once. So now I see problems differently. I'm not afraid of them anymore because I know their secret. Every problem is an opportunity for something good. You just have to look for it. So there's the question. How do we deal with a problem? Especially today when so many of our problems feel so big and so overwhelming and ultimately so out of our control. How do we answer the question that the book asks? What is the opportunity presented to us now? I'm really curious. What is the opportunity? What opportunities are you taking now that maybe you haven't before? Go ahead and write them in the chat. We'll see them and hopefully start a conversation around them and maybe be able to connect better through those opportunities. I've heard all week about people being able to take walks, people being able to walk their dog with their neighbors, of course, staying a safe distance away. I've heard about children being connected by FaceTime and Zoom and Messenger, connected across distance and having better connections with extended family. So there's opportunities. Let's find them and support them for each other. I'll see you online, friends. Stay safe and stay connected.
Ready or not, here I come.
Shh. I'm playing hide and seek.
I don't know where he is. I can't see him.
It's the possibility of fun.
The possibility to read a book for fun.
The possibility to feel possibility. no matter when it happens.
Used to spend probably 8 hours or more a week in a car, and now I find that I'm spending about that much time hiking around Sabino Canyon, feeling more grounded.
One of the possibilities that has opened up for me is just how the distance between me and people I care about is being jumped over by
My
technology.
extended family has daily drop-in Zoom calls where we can come together and reminisce and tell stories and laugh together and just be together. And it's been such a central point, a grounding point in my day. Will you take a deep breath in with me and sigh it out? If nothing else, there is your possibility. You have that breath that will stay with you as long as possibility is with you. These past few weeks, in some moments, in my most anxious, most fearful moments, that breath has felt like my only possibility. But in other moments, I felt more hope. I felt hope in what is emerging in this time. These past few weeks, I have talked with my family and friends a lot more than usual. My college and high school friends and I have actually called one another and picked up the phone and talked for hours, which, if you have millennials in your life, you know is a small miracle. In these past few weeks, I have eaten more vegetables, slept in more often, drank less coffee, and accepted my dog's insistence on taking the long way home. Maybe you've done some of those things too, or maybe you haven't slept better, but maybe you've kept up on your vacuuming better than I have. These new habits I'm forming are reminding me of the person I want to be after this pandemic has quelled. And while there are some ways of being that I want to carry forward with me, there are also some ways of being that I wish to leave behind in the pre-pandemic past. A friend posted this poem from Mary Oliver on their timeline this week, and it has been with me ever since. Oliver is speaking in this poem of the underbelly of American culture, the shadow side, and she writes these words. We will be known as a culture that feared death and adored power, that tried to vanquish insecurity for the few and cared little for the penurity of the many. We will be known as a culture that taught and rewarded the amassing of things, that spoke little, if at all, about the quality of life for people, other people, for dogs, for rivers. All the world, in our eyes, they will say, was a commodity. And they will say that the structure was held together politically, which it was. And they would say also that our politics was no more than an apparatus to accommodate the feelings of the heart, and that the heart in those days was small and hard and full of meanness. Again, Oliver here is talking about that underbelly, not the totality of American culture. And I don't know about you, but the things she names are welcome to stay behind in the pre-pandemic age in my life. Oliver's words point me towards some of the veils that are being pulled back in this time. The veil over our inadequate medical system, the veil over our commitment to profit over people, the veil over hearts among us and within us, hardened out of necessity and out of teaching. Buddhist practitioner Jack Kornfield wrote an email this week in which he's suggesting some ways we might counteract those harmful processes Oliver writes about. And he writes this: we have a choice. Epidemics like earthquakes, tornadoes, and floods are part of the cycles of life on planet Earth. How will we respond? With greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance? This only brings more suffering. Or with generosity, clarity, steadiness, and love? This is the time for love. Time for bodhisattvas. In Buddhist teachings, the bodhisattva is someone who vows to alleviate suffering and brings blessings in every circumstance. A bodhisattva chooses to live with dignity and courage and radiates compassion for all, no matter where they find themselves. This is not a metaphor. As bodhisattvas, we are now asked to hold a certain measure of the tragedy of the world and respond with love. The bodhisattva path is in front of us. And the beautiful thing is, we can see bodhisattvas all around. We see them singing from their balconies to those shut inside. We see them in young neighbors caring for their elders nearby, in brave healthcare workers, and in the unheralded ones who stock the shelves of our grocery stores. If Jack Cornfield's call to be a bodhisattva is too big, this is what I might offer. You just need to pay attention to who you are and what your heart needs and offer that to others. Because the answer to what our hearts need is almost always more love. Katie Resendez, the children's minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Phoenix, asked this question in their worship service last week. Who will you be after quarantine? What will you carry forward from this time, and what will you leave behind? Who will you be? Who will we be and become after quarantine? The poet Mark Nepo once wrote, "There is nothing to do and nowhere to go. Accepting this, we can do everything and go anywhere." History may record this time as one of commodity shortages. Or it might record this time as one when we learned our neighbors' names and we formed networks of mutual aid to make sure that everyone is taken care of. History may record this time as one of great pressure on our medical systems, or it might record this time as one when we finally decided that all people deserve access to full and adequate medical care. History may record this time as one of travel grinding to a halt. Or it might record this time as one when we saw the clean air and the clean water and committed to slowing the pace of climate change for real this time. Perhaps history will record both of these stories. One set of stories has already been created, and the other is up to us to create in this moment. Unitarian Universalist organizer Reverend Elizabeth Wynn captures the possibilities of this moment with these rhetorical and imaginary questions. She writes this: "This is the part where we commandeer cruise ships for people migrating to feast at all-you-can-eat buffets and party poolside and then split the corporate profits with the staff, right? This is the part where we teach ourselves how to make our own medicine, the kind from herbs and the kind from grandma's recipes, and vaccines and antivirals and insulin and EpiPens too, right? This is the part where we open our spare rooms to the college student whose school is closed and the asylum seeker who just got out of detention and our coworker who just got evicted and the queer teen who needs a place to crash, right? This is the part where we feed lunch to the kid whose school is canceled and text the people who can't be in public spaces anymore, and we breathe, right? This is the part where we introduce ourselves to our neighbors we've been living next to for 10 years because tomorrow we might need each other, right? This is the part where we ask, what do I really need for surviving? And find a way to seek no more and no less, right? This is the part where we stay home, we cancel, we show up, we call, we fight, we let go, we stay, we don't let anyone go it alone, right? This is the part where when we say we mean we elderly, we immunocompromised, we sick, we well, we in prison, we free, we who can buffer our way out with money and privilege, and we who definitely can't, right? Right. Friends, two truths live side by side in this time. One is that there will be great grief, more than we feel already. And the other is that in the midst of this grief and this isolation, there is something new emerging. May we be faithful to our imaginations and our grief, and defy the impossible by finding the balance between our imagining and our grieving. If that balance seems impossible right now, all you need to remember is this: you are not alone. You are bound up in a great interconnected web of all existence that will hold you. We are here to hold you and be here for you always. Stay connected. Blessed be, and amen.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
From Laura Kelly Fanucci. When this is over, we may never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with our neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, the taste and sight and smell and touch of communion, a routine checkup, the school rush every morning, coffee with friends, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. When this ends, we may find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, we were called to be, we hoped to be, and may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst. Please join me in extinguishing our light, but of course never the connections we have for each other.
Ain't misbehaving. I'm staying home and taking care of myself. I hope you are too. That was, of course, Fats Waller's great hit and theme song, Ain't Misbehavin'. The interlude was my own setting of Hashkivenu, the evening prayer from the Shabbat service. It is the prayer that begs God for peace and the shelter of peace to be spread over as we go into the evening and as the sun falls and as we worry about the things in the night. The prayer is meant to calm and relax you. The prelude started with My Buddy, that great old sentimental song from Donaldson and Kahn, and then, of course, the Pineapple Rag from Scott Joplin. I've got some future rag coming up in the next couple of weeks, so listen for that. That's been a favorite rag of mine since I learned it when I was a teenager, I think. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.